Hey buds, today I'm going to be talking about WoW's latest patch, 11.0.5. It's a rough one. Between the quality control and the quality of the event itself, I'm not feeling very confident about WoW's current trajectory. All that said, however, I will give a little benefit of the doubt to the team and the newly implemented warband system, and posit that this could potentially be growing pains, which is natural given the stated shift in philosophy from a character-centric design to a player-focused one, where accomplishments in the form of gear, cosmetics, and achievements are tied to one's account and can be accessed by each character on that account, rather than having these accomplishments bound to each character on an account individually, as has traditionally been the case with WoW. The two other topics I want to cover, however, are much more worrying to me as a longtime player of World of Warcraft and other Blizzard games. So let's start off with the warbands, the lesser of the three issues. This system was built as shifting focus from being character-centric to being player-centric. In some ways, it's been a massive boon to the game. The reputation system sees the system in play to its fullest extent. Within this expansion, the last one anyway, you gain reputation on one character, and it adds that reputation to all current and future characters you've made, across all servers and regardless of faction. Plus, you gain a warband bank that you can put all non-soulbound items into, and that bank can be accessed by all your characters, with slots that are unlocked for all of them as well. There's a glaring issue here though, and it begins with the concept of the soulbound item. There are now warbound items, but they are still in competition with the soulbound items, for no discernible reason either. In fact, I've gotten recipes that I couldn't give to other characters with the professions that could use them, because those recipes were soulbound. One example of this that I can remember is Beladar's Bounty. You need to complete a quest chain in order to get that recipe, and if you happen to do that on a non-cook like I did, you have to complete that chain again so that your cook can obtain it. Warbands seemed to be an answer to their competition, Final Fantasy XIV, which at the time was dominating WoW and pulling players away from them at a record pace. This was seemingly meant to even the playing field a bit and advance WoW to the current era of the MMO gaming culture, where players find more value in not being forced to log in daily and weekly for set tasks to accomplish, just to stay on par with their guildmates or raiding or Mythic Plus teams. Players found in Final Fantasy XIV a game that not only respected your time, but actively encouraged players to take their time with the main story and take any extended breaks while unsubbing that they wanted or needed to. To someone that only or mainly played WoW, this was a revelation. When Metzen came onto the stage during 2023 BlizzCon and beckoned the formerly burnt out players to come home, many listened, myself included. Kotick was on his way out. Blizzard was acquisitioned by Microsoft, which I wasn't personally convinced was going to be a positive thing, but that's another topic. And with Metzen back and a changed writing team, things were looking positive, or at least hopeful. Warbands and delves being the main feature of the upcoming expansion signaled a turning point for the depreciating MMO, a focus on the player experience from the ground up, a respect for the player's time, and an acknowledgement of the growing base of players that, through interest or time constraints, want a solo endgame experience that feels rewarding and on par with PvP, Mythic Plus, and raiding. I'm just going to be blunt and to the point here. The aforementioned systems are half-assed. First off, delves were tested and fixed live, multiple times, in its first 2 weeks. And this trend continues with each class getting buffed and then nerfed and becoming bugged, etc. It is a beta testing experience for paying customers, essentially. Secondly, Blizzard doesn't seem to know what they want delves to be or are afraid of making good on their promise of having it be a pillar of the endgame experience alongside raiding and Mythic Plus. Currently, it's not that at all. This is even acknowledged to be the case in their meta achievement called The War Within Season 1 Spelunker Supreme, where you either have to achieve a 1600 rating in PvP, a 2000 plus rating in Mythic Plus, or defeating the final boss of the Season 1 raid tier on Heroic or Mythic difficulty. So where's the fourth pillar? Why doesn't defeating the double question mark version of Zekfir grant you this achievement as well? He's a really decent challenge in my opinion, especially after multiple live hotfixes to the fight. But this is what I mean. The WoW team doesn't seem to want to fully commit to either of these features, which need to be fully committed to be worthwhile. As it stands, delves are fine for a while, but once you reach the ceiling they've given that content, there's nowhere left to go. Technically, there are levels 9, 10, and 11 one can try to beat, but you get the same exact gear as you do on level 8. It feels like a complete waste of time when there's no active progression tied to overcoming greater challenges. As for warbands, in order for this system to have meaningful impact on player experience, they need to do away with soulbound as a concept, and move it all to warbound. The only purpose of having both in the game currently is to help gate content and slow players down by making them repeat systems on each character. Not being able to craft a high tier weapon and place it in the warbank for another character is a restriction that feels arbitrary, and like it's kept there because it's always been that way. But that's what WoW needs to get away from if it still wants to be competitive in the MMO space. It's arbitrary because of the mere fact that you can get those items on your other characters, but by a roundabout way via placing an order on the crafting board. There's a warbank system right there, and yet we're still made to go through convoluted systems just to make good on what Blizzard promised in the first place. Again, this could be growing pains, and these features still have time to be implemented as intended, but that's being gracious. When looking at these issues through the lens of someone who has played the 20th anniversary content of patch 11.0.5 and experienced the audacity of the $90 mount drop in the face of awful QA bugs and half-assed features, I'm less optimistic that my previously extended graciousness is the case. To put it plainly, the 20th anniversary event feels more like what a random RP guild could put together than what a billion-dollar company's celebration of their biggest IP should be. And that's not a jab at RP guilds at all. Blizzard should just be better. Currently there are 3 events: the Mount-Off, the Fashion Contest, and Storytime. 2 of these events are what streamers often set up and partake in on their own, and Storytime, while novel and a nice touch, is relegated to a chore you do in order to fill up the quest bar so you can get your additional XP and rep buff. Due to this, the novelty wears out really quickly. An anniversary event should be something both veterans and new players alike can enjoy together. Both the Mount-Off and the Fashion Competition are a hindrance to new players. I have an American account which I played from vanilla to BFA, but I switched to the EU as I live here now for this expansion, so I'm able to have a new player experience in a way. I've wasted time in a Mount-Off not being able to match a single mount, and then due to that, got no credit for it toward the celebration activities bar. That felt awful and frustrating. Outside of the main events, you basically have to AFK, I wish I was kidding, in order to increase your percentage. Turn into a pet and sleep in a cauldron or a basket, or ride a balloon. Both activities you can all tap or walk away from the PC for. It's ridiculous. The event not being to my taste and lesser quality than what I think most players should expect from Blizzard isn't the real problem here. If that was where the issue ended, I'd be less compelled to make this video in the first place. The core problem here is that with all the talk of respecting player time and play how you want and play and still be rewarded, you're forced to engage with the celebration and fill up a bar. That's if you want an extra 10% and reputation gain buff. With each character, you want the buff on. And that bar, by the way, fills up so slow. And each event is time gated in such a way that it literally forces you to spend an hour each time in order to get a buff that should be free. It's an anniversary. This should be a celebration for both the players and the company. Instead, this feels like an opportunity for Blizzard to buff its engagement metrics. I don't know if that's the case, but it's absolutely how it feels to me. On top of that, all the rewards need a special currency given out from doing various tasks during the 2-month anniversary period. Now, initially, I thought, hey, that's really awesome of them. When I heard that they were making this anniversary as long as they were, I thought, they really want everyone to have a chance to get the items they want. Yeah. You get 1 or 3 bronze tokens, the currency of the anniversary, for each weekly task in this expansion. And it's warbound, so you can only complete those tasks once per week. So if you want to get the really cool tier 2 sets as well as some of the other cool things on offer, you need to play every week, doing multiple weeklies, and even some in areas you have no interest in just to make enough, like LFR or PvP for example. Instead of extending the event so that everyone that's playing during this time can play WoW how they want and have the anniversary as a nice bonus and celebratory mutual thank you from the devs and players, it's just another event that forces you to grind at least a certain amount, depending on how much and which stuff you want. It's less a celebration and more of a FOMO event that feels bad to engage with, at least for myself. But the icing on the cake of all of this would absolutely be the $90 mount, with unique quality of life features boldly slapped into the game. It sold really well, unfortunately, and even that fact plays into my fear that this game will not get any better. Blizzard is proving to itself and its player base that it doesn't need to make its game better to appeal to its customers. It just needs to promise to do so. Use a skeleton crew to implement those promises half-assed, and then sell those cosmetics until the next expansion hits. I realize this is harsh, but this is what I see and how it feels as a player who started in February of 2005 and played through each expansion with the exception of Shadowlands. The game I loved isn't here anymore, and while I secretly hope I'm wrong and taking things out of proportion, I am unfortunately confident that I'm really not. If the rest of this expansion can't make good on its promises of delves and warbands, and if this is the 20th anniversary event which should reflect the respect and love for the game and its player base, then I'm happy to spend my time elsewhere much more worth my time. These are just my thoughts and feelings. If you agree or disagree, either way, let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you liked it and want to see more, please like and subscribe, and feel free to follow me on my Twitch and join my Discord and come hang out and say hi. Anyway, take care all and keep chill.